fine with you.
That's fine. I have 4 other ones to read
Yep,
too.
that's fine.
Just so you know.
Yep. I'll give you the padding because she did it basically. I know, I agree with you.
On my phone.
Who's that?
You're all set?
Yep. Excellent connection. You ready to go?
I am. Okay, good evening. This
Give me
is
a minute.
a,
I'm not, give me a minute. I'm ready to go, but I'm not starting yet. I'm gonna start.
You gotta point to him, say, all right, camera's live.
Was there, it went away. Okay, we are.
okay.
Go.
No?
Yes, you're good.
Oh, good, thank you. Okay. Good evening. This is a special school board meeting for August 3rd, 2020. My apologies to the public out there. The school board had a non-public session that ran a little bit over, so I apologize. The school board meeting was supposed to start at 6:30, but we will meet with our attorney. We're unable to get an appropriate start at 6:30, so my apologies to you. We are going to start the meeting now at 6:47. I have to read off a couple of things. This meeting is being conducted within the Franklin Middle School Library. Community members may attend the meeting in person or email the superintendent questions or comments prior to the meeting at dlegallo@gm.sau18.org. And please include name. All questions and comments will be read into the minutes. During the meeting, the public may participate by calling the superintendent's phone number at 266-9833 if you prefer not to attend. The public may view the meeting on our YouTube channel using the appropriate link. All right, if we could all stand for the salute of the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Agenda item number 1 is public participation. During this time, I'll give the public 3 minutes per person to address the board, and I will be giving no more than 30 minutes to this session. I do have a second public participation at the end of the evening under agenda item 9. So if I'm unable to get you within the first 30 minutes, if you stay around to the end of the meeting, I do hold a second public participation. When addressing the board, if you would just state your name and your address for the board. So is there anybody who would like to address the board tonight? We do have some people in the audience within the public, so does anybody want to address the board? Okay, seeing none. Superintendent Legallo, I know you have a couple of letters or emails you've received.
I do.
I'll let you read them for the minutes.
So the first one I have asked to be kept anonymous. It says, "Good afternoon. My feeling on going back to school in the fall. 1, yes, the kids should go back to school in the fall. The kids need to be around other kids and not just their siblings 24 hours, 7 days a week. Also, it was very distracting for the other two if one misbehaves, which unfortunately happens more often for the parent versus someone from the outside. How often do you go to a meeting and they say how your kid does this or that, and you look at them with a surprised face because it isn't how they are at home. You are happy they are at the way there, but it is just different. Two, with the kids going to new teachers, if they don't go back to school first, the teacher does not have a chance to get to build a relationship with the kids. They also don't know how the kids learn best and learn tricks to help them. At least when we went remote learning last year, the teachers already had built a relationship with them and also had an idea where the kids were for learning and also knew what the kids needed for help. Three, if you choose to do remote learning right off the bat, you guys need to find a better way to be the teacher job to teach the kids, not just doing worksheets and having us try to teach them. I understand that it was difficult for all of us and whoever thought we would have to do this. At the same point, I have 3 children at home at 3 different levels, and I was an essential worker. I feel that I put them further behind than if they were in school. I had a 4th grader, which she does very well in school, and even some days it was hard for and boring for her because in certain things they then needed to do more reading. And it's harder for them to do activities at home because a lot of times we don't always have the supplies that they would have had at school, which was a big problem for me. And then by the time I got home and knew I needed stuff, I was not going back out to buy the stuff. I had one that had an IEP and we did the Zoom calls and stuff, and she had an amazing team this year, but I feel like I may have put her behind because I didn't go to school to teach and I don't have all the different tricks and things or enough time in the day to help her the way she needs help. Then my stepson was going to be put in to get tested for an IEP, and because of everything, he was not able to get tested. If we do not go back in the fall, he's still not getting the help he's needed or tested, and was already in Title I, which he then lost some of that as well, with him not being in school for math. He did do the Zoom meeting for the reading. 4, I don't feel like remote learning is good at all for a child with an IEP because you're doing a generalization on learning across the board versus the groups they would be in class. 5, also during remote learning, it was very tough for us because I was the only one that could help them with their work because my fiance didn't do well in school and actually dropped out and didn't understand most of the stuff. Also for me, I have also not been a strong speller, and English was one of the least favorite classes, and with young ones you're learning all the basic stuff with sounds and things, and I was never good with the phonics part. So for me, that was extremely difficult for me and frustrating for me at times because I don't remember all the rules, and at times I was asking my 4th grader just to make sure I was doing it right. So I don't teach the other ones wrong. I can't imagine how many other people are in a similar boat. 6, I've always given teachers credit as for you have to have patience and have multiple ways of learning for all different types of kids, but that is what they went to school for. It is what they wanted to do for their living. I was not ever meant to be a teacher, so it added a lot of stress in trying to help them, not fall further behind or put them behind. Just like if things hit the fan, you guys would not be able to do my job. 7, and yes, safety is very important, but more and more people are needing to go back to their jobs. We are all at risk, so what is the difference for teacher versus everyone else that has to work and wear a mask? I am all ears to what makes them different than any other working person that has to go back into a building. Thank you for taking the time. I know it's difficult for everyone. Is it working?
For some reason it might be. They said it's, folks are telling me it's not loud. Sorry. Folks listening at home, do you now have a better audio?
Can you hear us? Shake your head if you can hear us.
I can hear you, it's still a little blurry.
Yeah. All right, keep talking. I'm working on it.
All right, second one. This was also anonymous. What would the school district do to assist any family negatively impacted financially should the school open and children be exposed, causing multiple households to quarantine? The epidemiologist has indicated that if a student becomes infected, then those students in the infected student's immediate seating area would also need to quarantine, as would everyone in their household. This next one is from, hold on one second. This one is from a parent, Kathleen Kelly. I have 2 children going to Franklin District schools, one in elementary and one in middle school. Both their father and myself work full-time. If given the choice, I would prefer my children to go back to school full-time. Depending on how the outlines are for the remote learning, I do not have another option for someone else to teach my children. I understand this situation is difficult on everybody. Personally, I care more about my children's mental health. I want them to be able to go back to school and participate in school and social activities, be able to see their friends and try to learn. The remote learning for my children was very difficult for them to understand and get the help they needed. Going back to traditional school would be more beneficial because if they don't understand or need help, the teachers is right there to explain it, instead of pushing off assignments until the teacher is available to respond. Sometimes they were quick and others it would take a few days to get done. If remote is to be the way the district chooses for this year, I highly recommend revising the way it was done. Thank you. Then the next one. I know that in the school board meeting you are going to discuss the fall sports. I was hoping just to share some concerns that some of us parents have. I myself have 2 children signed up for soccer and volleyball and concerned about the risks. I know social distancing is a concern because the kids will be in very close quarters and touching, bumping into each other, increasing risk of catching or exposure to the virus. I have talked to any who also wonder if the kids cannot return to school full-time due to this virus, why are we considering sports? I understand all too well that some students thrive more with the sports, however, education is very important, and if a greater risk is going to be taken, shouldn't it be to teach these children and not for a sport? Some have even questioned where the school board stands on which is more important, considering they only have to be passing 2 classes to play, and now the risk is being taken to play instead of teaching them. We're just looking for some clarification, which I'm sure you'll be discussing all this. We're just concerned about the kids' health and education, as we sure you are. Thank you, Stacy Carter. And I have one on my phone.
Where you going? All of you?
This is from Patty Prescott, dear school board chair and school board members.
You can mute them.
I am writing to let you know my thoughts and concerns on the reopening of Franklin schools. I personally feel that our focus should be on how to have the most successful remote and in-person model for the entire school year rather than a higher quantity of in-person days at the start. Due to the increased spread of COVID-19, I strongly believe that we should start with remote services, then phase into hybrid, remote, and in-person. For example, September to December remote, January to March hybrid, and if all is appropriate, April to June full in-person. School districts across New Hampshire are preparing for 3 scenarios, in-person, hybrid, and remote, which I feel they have no way of promising that they can staff or sustain a sufficient amount of staff for the full school year. At this point, we do not have a solid backup plan if teachers and staff should become exposed due to COVID-19 and must quarantine. We could create the best plan for all parties, and if we can't staff our schools, we have a huge problem. This is at no fault of the administration. This is a problem area for all school districts due to the lack of substitutes, and I don't see that changing. If we do remote, students and teachers can still perform if they are in quarantine. It's a no-brainer that people must work and schools play a vital part in families returning to work. It's also inevitable that we are facing very complicated logistics. One of the problems is available and flexible childcare services, families and school employees across many districts. If I work in Franklin and live in Concord, my child's school schedule may be different than my work schedule in Franklin. This is a nationwide problem and should be taken care of by those that have the authority to do so, not individual community administrators and local school boards. If I had to make the decision, I would open school in a remote setting. We would work hard to make sure that the remote instruction that we delivered was of the highest caliber and be better organized and more connected than what we delivered in the spring. We would move forward in phases with the goal being full in-person learning. Our schools should not be used as an experiment. We should be protecting our staff and students. Thank you for taking the time to read my thoughts and concerns. I know you have a very difficult decision to make. I hope you have all the information needed to make a healthy decision. That's all I received.
I received one email from Ward 3 resident and also school teacher Charlie Chappell. Hello again. Big school board meeting tonight. I just thought of a few more things. I would appreciate it if you considered them in your decision. Number 1, I haven't seen anything about the feeling of teachers, staff, or students in this decision-making process. We've had 2 polls of parents. Their thoughts are loud and clear, but parents aren't the people in the building. Sure, you get to hear from me, but I am just one person. I can't speak for other teachers. I can't speak for custodians, nurses, or anyone in special ed. I can't speak for anyone in the middle school or elementary school, and I certainly can't speak for the kids. It really feels like some very important voices are being left out, and this is concerning to me. Number two, the only option that guarantees no spread, no infection, no deaths is remote learning. If we choose to reopen completely and there are infections and/or deaths, how would we feel looking back and knowing they could have been prevented? Are we willing to gamble with that? Number three, if remote learning is chosen, it is going to be a lot better than in the spring. Teachers will actually have a chance to prepare, and students will have a chance to mentally prepare. Three, as far as mental health for everyone goes, I feel that reopening, then shutting down completely again because of a spike or an infection will be more traumatic than just choosing remote learning in the first place. That's it. That's all I've got. Thank you for listening. Charlie Chapel, Ward 3. All right. So those are the ones we have received, and they're now into the record. Dan will turn over his emails that he's received from the parents and teachers, and they will be put into the minutes. At this time, I'm going to close unless Superintendent Legallo has any emails or additional or phone calls that have come into him.
I don't think so. Let's take a look. Nope, we're good.
All right, Superintendent Legallo has no further information or anything else that has come into his phone. So we are going to close that public participation and move on to agenda item 2, which is our educational school response plan 2020-21. School calendar revision will be the first thing Superintendent Legallo will address.
So first, let me thank all of our administrators who have helped to put this educational response plan together. This report is for the board. This is not a public report yet. It's only gone to the board. So those in the room, you're seeing it for the first time. The response plan is a comprehensive plan that was put together so that we could deal with education for 2021. With the changing conditions of the COVID pandemic, we wanted to put together a plan that could take care of any possible situation that faces us come September. Whether that would be full remote learning, whether that would be full in-person learning, or whether that would be some type of hybrid approach based on the conditions on the ground. So this planning started way back at the end of June. We actually had our teaching staff and our support staff work for 3 full days, brainstorming every possible idea that they could think of what it would look like if we were going to do full in person, every possible idea they could think of if we were going to do full remote, and every possible idea of what they could think of if we were going to do full hybrid. And we took all of that work, and then we sat down as an admin team and we worked all summer long on this plan. And what we're going to present to you tonight is the highlights of the plan, some of the things that we think that we can pull off, whether it's remote, whether it's hybrid, whether it's full in person. And then some recommendations that we're going to make to you today on August 3rd, knowing that school won't be starting for at least 4 weeks. And I will tell you, since March, when this first hit, that this thing has been changing every week or two. So I would caution everybody watching tonight that any decisions that get made tonight would be subject to change based on the changing conditions of the COVID-19 pandemic. We have to be prepared for all possible scenarios. If there's a spike in the next 3 to 4 weeks, and if there's some kind of spike in Franklin, we have to all be prepared to go fully remote if that's what the case may be. If things continue down the path that they're on right now and you want to do some in-person instruction or go hybrid, that would make sense. But what I need everyone to understand is that with the changing conditions, we have to be prepared, meaning students, families, and staff, to pivot between all of the possibilities, because none of us can predict what's going to be coming come September. So I just want to put that caveat out there to everybody, that whatever we recommend today is subject to change based on changing conditions. We also have a lot of work to do with our staff. We haven't worked that closely with staff since the summer started. And whatever we decide together tonight, we need to start working with our staff. We have a meeting with our teachers union on Thursday night. And we will be talking with our teachers union about what our next steps are in terms of how we can help implement, or what we can implement at this point in time. And that's a very crucial step to us reopening our schools, if that's what the board decides, to reopen the schools. Because we can't reopen schools if we don't have staff that's willing to come in and feel safe about what we put together for them and for the kids and families. I will also share with you that we have surveyed our parents a couple of times this summer. We still have about 26% of parents that are calling for a remote option. And my recommendation tonight would be is that we would provide that remote option for that 26% of our families. That's about 260 students that are calling for us to provide remote instruction. So that would be part of what I want to talk about tonight, is that we would definitely want to offer that to our kids. So we can follow along the plan. We can actually put it up, I think, on the screen, Ken.
Can we do the revised, because that's what's on here first, is the calendar revision.
Yeah, we can. I didn't list it that way, but it's the plan first, and then we'll go to the recommendations, Tim.
Okay, so the reopening school plan is.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. So, the first recommendation is the calendar.
It is on
Let's,
there.
let's put it up there. So the first recommendation that I'm gonna make tonight, and you have calendars in front of you. We have started school after Labor Day for the last 2 years in Franklin. And I believe that we need some more time to prepare our staff and our schools for reopening. We have Labor Day on Monday, September 7th. And we have an election day, primary day on September 8th, which is already a day off in the district. So I am going to propose to the board that we move the first day of school for students to September 9th, which would be Wednesday, September 9th. Ken?
Would you tell the viewing public that they will not be able to see the screen? It's just too small right now, but we will get it to them. But I can't project
Is there
that.
a way to blow it up?
I can't project that onto YouTube.
Oh, okay. So I guess what we have to say is, for those at home, you're not going to be able to see, hear what's happening.
All right, so the first item we need to discuss as a board is the school calendar revision, okay, as presented by the superintendent. So do I have a motion to accept that revision? So moved by Jeff Savory. Do I have a second? Second by Chris. Okay, do we have discussion? Deb?
With that being said, will we have shorter days, hour-wise? Are we going to hours?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Let's do the start of the, I got more to say about it, so, but let's just do the start of school first.
I don't think they're gonna read it.
Do we have any other discussion? Okay, seeing no other discussion, I need a roll call vote.
Deb Brown,
I'm staying.
Scott Burns, is he
Oh.
on, he's online.
No, they're not.
Muted.
Oh,
They're all
yeah.
muted.
Take off full screen, take it off full screen.
Yes.
Thank you, Scott. We got you.
Stop share. Yeah.
Cecile Cormier,
Yes.
Tim Dow,
Yes.
Susan Hallett Cook, she's probably muted.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Yeah.
She got it.
Chris Nealand,
Yes.
Jeff Savory,
Yes.
one abstain, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yes.
Okay.
Motion carries, and the revision